You're watching 38 IZ videos, and on the phone with me right now, we have Mr. Ian Hill from Judas Priest. And Judas Priest will be in town on Tuesday, April 24th at the Comerica Theater. Tickets are going fast, so you can get them at Comerica Theater box office. And opening will be Saxon and Black Star Riders. So without further ado, Mr. Ian Hill from Judas Priest. Ian, how are you doing?
I'm doing just fine, thanks. And yourself?
Good. Well, let's get started really quickly. Congratulations actually on the new album Firepower, which is debuted at number 5 in your highest debut in your history. Is that correct?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah,
it is. It's a wonderful feeling, you know, when you think a band that's nearly 50 years old is still popular enough and relevant enough, you know, to gain that chart position after all these years, you know.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful feeling.
Well, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about that. The last album was called Redeemer of Souls, and how would you say that this album differs from Redeemer of Souls in terms of the approach you guys did? Tell us a little about the new album and what some of your favorite songs are.
It's a bit too early for favourite songs. I like all of them at the moment. But I think the main difference between this album and the last one is that we had a production team on this one in Tom Allen, Andy Sneap, and Mike Exeter was the engineer. And it's great when you have sort of a third party to stand back from things and put another point of view forward. In a studio sometimes you get the blinkers on and you see the end of the tunnel and you're not looking left or right, and you need somebody that'll sometimes bring new angle on things and suggest things that you wouldn't have thought of yourself. And it's paid dividends, really. You know, we ended up with a bit of a dream team there. It really paid dividends in it. The production of the album's awesome, you know.
Yeah, so to have two different producers, so I think with other bands that probably would have been problematic, but really to have two generations of producers, that actually helped the album, you'd say.
Absolutely. I mean, Tom Allen goes back a long way with this band, you know. 1979, I think it was, the first time we worked with Tom. So he knows more than anybody, really, about this band. But we wanted more of a modern angle as well.
Right.
And that's when we got in touch with Andy Sneap and asked him if he wouldn't mind working with Tom, and vice versa, of course. And they both got along really well, and they're just close personal friends now. They're not just colleagues. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if you'll see them producing other bands, you know, in the same way. And like I say, the thing with Tom, he knows the heritage of the band, and he knows what the way we should sound. Right. And with Andy, he got that modern angle to it, and he was using the recording techniques and what have you, you know. And like I say, it just worked out a treat.
How challenging, Ian, is it to basically retain what Judas Priest is all about, but yet having the challenge to bring a contemporary sound to that? How challenging was that for this record?
It's something we've always tried to do. With each album, we always try and take a step forward. I mean, we're still learning things every day, you know, so you try and put that into practice. And I think it's that sort of thing that's kept us current for all these years. You know, it keeps you contemporary. Right. So it wasn't a great leap. We like I say, we took the same step as we do with every album. Just to kind of, you know, it keeps us fresh, keeps us young, if you know what I mean, and keeps us relevant to the modern metal fans.
Whilst on the subject of the album, one of my personal favorites on the record was a song called Traitor's Gate. Very cool tune.
Oh, yeah.
And give us a little bit of background on that song if you could.
It's a great production piece, you know. An involved song with different parts in it, you know. It's got different sort of flavours all the way through it. It's basically, well, obviously you'll have to ask Rob about where he got the inspiration for the lyrics, but the story is a man struggling against authority, I suppose, you know. Mm-hmm. He's trying to bring sense and to what might be oppression. And gets caught, gets hung, you know, but he'll get his head, you know.
How's the tour been going? You guys kicked off the
Thank
tour on March 13th. The tour kicked off, and Saxon and Black Star Riders are with you guys. How's the tour been going so far?
It's going just great. We've got two great supporting acts in Black Star and Saxon. I mean, we go back a long way with both of those bands as well. You know, we've bumped into each other over the years. So it's a really good tour. You know, it's a really good feeling. Sort of like a family atmosphere. Obviously, the music speaks for itself.
Right.
It's a great show. You know, great. A great. Well, what can I say? Variety of British metal, I suppose, for the most part, anyway.
How challenging is it, Ian, to put a set list together almost 45 years into your career?
Say again, sorry?
How challenging is it to put a set list together for the tour?
Oh, it's a nightmare. With every album, you see, you've got to make room for the new material.
Right.
And for every new song you put in, you've got to drop somebody's favourite, you know. So it really is a difficult task, you know, knowing what to drop.
Right.
And on top of the new music, we always try and find sort of different older songs that we haven't played for a while or never played. Right. So it's a difficult job, but I think we've got a good balance now between old and new, and maybe a few unfamiliar old songs as well. You know, it's a good balanced set we've managed to put together, but it wasn't easy.
With that, Ian, I'll go and remind our viewers about you guys coming to town. We're speaking with Mr. Ian Hill from Judas Priest, bassist from Judas Priest. They will be coming to town on Tuesday, April 24th at Comerica Theater. Tickets are going fast, so you can go to the link to the Comerica Theater box office and pick up those tickets, and Saxon and Black Star Riders will be opening. And to continue, Ian, this is a little bit tougher ground but it's important that we discuss it. Unfortunately, Glenn Tipton, a longtime member, founding member of the band, and he will not be on this tour due to his diagnosis recently of Parkinson's disease. And Andy Sneap is now, the producer is now playing guitar in the band. How has that been going so far?
He's doing really, really well, especially when you consider he only had about 3 weeks to put a near 2-hour set together, you know, with lead breaks.
Right.
He's really sort of pulled a rabbit out of a hat, you know.
Yeah.
And of course, as the tour's going on, he's getting more confident on stage as well, and he's putting some tremendous performances in now. So musically, really, there's nothing missing. Nobody miss anything musically. Right. Visually, of course, there's a big difference there. Of course, Glenn isn't there. You know, he's been an integral part of the band for all these years, for over 40 years. Right. And it was a huge hit, you know, when he said he couldn't do it. It wasn't a surprise. I mean, I think we all knew that it wasn't going to happen this time round. He was diagnosed just before the last tour. And, you know, during band rehearsals, he was pretty rough to start with, you know. But as the days went on, he got better each day, to the point where he put in some tremendous performances on the last tour. And we were kind of hoping that was going to happen this time round as well. But after the first week, we knew, you know, he couldn't do it. It was a tragic thing, really. Right. And Glenn, the hardest part was Glenn convincing himself that he couldn't do it, you know. But Andy stepped up to the plate, and he's doing a great job. He really is doing a great job. And he's a sort of a perfect replacement, really, in as much as he's intimate with the new material. So he knows the structure of all the new songs, which is very important when you're trying to learn something. Right. And he's been a fan of the band for years as well, so you can trust him with, you know, the band heritage, if you like. Yeah. So he was the perfect fit.
Well, on behalf of the Judas Priest fans here in Arizona and the station, 38 IZ Videos, we wish Glenn the best and continued good health in the future. Yeah, well, thank you. He'd appreciate that if he heard it. I know he would. He's planning on coming out for the odd show, you know, when he can, when he feels, you know, up for it. He's going to try and get up to do the odd song here and there. Obviously, I can't promise that for obvious reasons, but he's going to try and do it whenever he can, you know, and the sooner he can, the better, as far as we're all concerned, you know. All right, real quickly, if I had to give, we got over 40 years of Judas Priest music. If you had to pick an album from each decade, the 70s, 80s, 90s, and the 00s, pick one record of each one we'll start with the 70s. What record to you stands out to this day?
The 70s, that would probably be Sad Wings, the second album. The first one there's good material on there, but we were all pretty naive at the time, you know, the first album, and it wasn't very well produced. But the second one, you know, things happened, you know, everything sort of gelled on the second album. We had a better production team, and it sounded a much more, you know, powerful album than the first one. From the 80s, oh dear, that would have to be probably, let's see, Defenders of the Faith, I think. I don't know. It was the end of a certain run. It was a pinnacle before we started with, we had the experimental turbo after that.
Right.
That sort of met with mixed reaction, really. And then we went with a harder edge then with Ram It Down and of course Painkiller, which brings us on to the 90s, and that would be Painkiller, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's a fine album. It's a landmark album in many ways. And of course from the 2000s, it would have to be Angel of Retribution when Rob first came back to the band in 2005, because that obviously that marked the return of Rob. A great album, and of course now the new one, Val Tapia, which is I think, you know, you ask a musician what his favourite album is, he'll always say the new one because he's just spent the last couple of years, you know, putting it together. But this time, I think it is. I think it's quite possibly the finest album we've done to date. You know, Firepower. It really is a tremendous piece of work.
As far as there's two big moments in Judas Priest history that I recall vividly, and I'd like to hear your recollections on these two events. 1983, the US Festival, you guys played, May 1983. That's the first one. And the second one, Live Aid. What are your recollections on both of those?
Oh, yeah. The US Festival was absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
The only way to get the bands from the hotel to the festival site was by helicopter. You know, the promoters had rented a helicopter to get the bands in and out. And I just remember coming over a hill in the helicopter and just seeing a different coloured field. And it was just like a sea of people. It was unbelievable. There was, 350,000 people, something like that. It's by far the biggest live show we've done, and probably ever likely to do ever again. It was an incredible festival, a great party, festival atmosphere. You know, it was great. And Live Aid, we were asked to do that. You know, we were recording at the time. We were in Compass Point in the Bahamas. I think we were doing. Could have been Turbo we were doing. Anyway, we packed what we could into a plane, flew out to Philadelphia. There were two concerts going on. There's one in Philadelphia and one in London. We did the Philly show. And then I personally flew straight back home to spend a bit of time with the wife. And I actually watched the closing ceremony and everything on TV.
Right.
And it was that quick. The following day, we were back in the studio, back recording. But there were both great events, you know.
Yes.
One of those things, especially the Live Aid thing, when everybody comes together for a noble cause, you know, to help people that haven't got what you've got, you know. And we were really honoured to be asked to do it.
And just a reminder, got a couple minutes left. You know, I'll let you go. I know you guys got a real tough schedule. I appreciate your time. But to conclude, we're going to play the video actually for Lightning Strike. What are your recollections of the video? And do a little intro. We'll play that following the interview.
Yeah, the video actually was put together pretty much in the studio with clips of live. Obviously, you know, we hadn't played the song live then, you know. Right. So sort of archive footage, and Rob went out and he sang the vocals. We were still finishing the album actually while that was being done. It's a great song though. People have really taken it to their hearts, and for good reason, you know. It really is. It's a great song.
All right, Ian, thank you so much for your time. I know you got to get going. You guys are in Wisconsin tonight, is that correct?
That's right, yes. We're
Yeah.
here in Green Bay.
All right, sounds good. Well, thank you so much. It was a pleasure and honor to speak to you, Ian. And with a lot of Judas Priest fans here, we look tremendously forward to seeing the show on April 24th.
Yeah, we love Phoenix. We love Phoenix. We spent a lot of time in Phoenix over the years, so we're looking forward to getting back.
All right, it sounds good. So we're looking forward to it. And with that, here's Lightning Strike from Judas Priest and the new album Firepower. Here's Lightning Strike.